Cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends, as this video is brought to you by drroto.com.
Oh, yeah, we're back. Monkey Knife Fight. It's time. Another week, Monkey Knife Fight here. My good friend Colby Conway sitting on that side. I'm sitting here with my daughter's dog. So if you hear any barking, that's why. Have the dog sit for the weekend. So anyway, but we're here to talk about Monkey Knife Fight, the great new game that came out here about a year or two ago. We are now proud sponsors for Monkey Knife Fight is now a proud sponsor here on drroto.com. You see the scrolling thing right there at the bottom. Open up a new account. Use promo code DOC. Get 100% match on your first $100 in your first deposit. You can double your money. It's that easy. And now you got house money to play with. We're going to be talking today about some strategies with some upcoming, how this game's going to work. If you haven't played it before, maybe throw in some ideas about our favorite games and also the Thursday night game, which will be coming up just this week, man. I'm so excited. Colby, how you been? Keeping safe, keeping happy, all good?
Yep, all good. We've been had the day off work today, which is nice, but we've been prepping our fence to stain it. So it's been outside the whole day, but yeah, looking forward to week one. We got a Thursday night game that I'm excited to talk about here and what proposed lines I think we'll see here at Monkey Knife Fight. So we can get on there because obviously, and we'll talk about this, this podcast comes out Friday. There's a football game Thursday. We can't release after the fact, or else if we could, we'd look like geniuses because we get every single one right. But other than that, we'll talk a little about Thursday, and if we have time, I'm looking forward to say the week one game that I really am interested in to see what Monkey Knife Fight puts out there for us, because it's not going to be the most high scoring game, but I think it's the one where we're going to get some really good opportunities for some money.
I hear you. All right, so let's talk about that Thursday night game coming up. Heck of a game to start off with. Buccaneers at Dallas. We know Dallas's defense is terrible. We know the Buccaneers are pretty good. They certainly did a nice job on the Chiefs there in the Super Bowl last year. No changes to this team in the offseason. This same 22 on defense and offense. Doesn't happen too often in the NFL. Bucks, Cowboys. Let's throw some out there that I'm seeing out, on the interwebs. We've got Amari Cooper with 62.5 receiving yards. Monkey Knife Fight puts that out there. Are you going to go more or are you going to go less on that?
Ooh, the Dallas receivers scare me a little bit. Tampa Bay, in terms of last year, in terms of at least fantasy points allowed to receivers, they were near the top, but as the season went on, they got much better. They were kind of bad in the beginning, and kind of like that whole team, to be honest, was a little bit slow up front, and then they got it going at the end. If I'm having to go more or less with Cooper, I'm going to go more. I'm trying not to buy the Hard Knocks bump, but he's looked very smooth in terms of his route running. He looks crisp. Sure, he burned Trayvon Diggs, but a lot of people did that last year, so I wouldn't put too much stock into that one. I'm going to go more there. It's something where it's one of those things where I really like Ezekiel Elliott this year, but I think they're going to have a harder time running the ball than they are throwing it. So give me the more on Cooper.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I feel like this is going to be quite a shootout. I mean, I don't think any of us are going to expect this to be a 13-10 game. That the Bucks are going to come out throwing. They're going to come out slinging the ball. Brady, he's on national TV first game. This is a big deal to him. Obviously, he wants to prove that last year was not a fluke. And I feel like they're going to come out slinging the ball, which is going to make Dallas come out slinging the ball. So I'm with you on that. I think all the receivers for Dallas are probably going to be over. Interestingly enough, they have Cooper at 62.5. And you have CeeDee Lamb at only 58.5. So that's kind of surprising. Is there a quarterback situation there that they might be, the Bucks have a quarterback that might be, putting on the number, making their number one cornerback going against the number one and maybe focusing more on CeeDee Lamb versus Cooper, you think?
Perhaps. I think this could just be a matter of Cooper kind of being the de facto number one because we didn't quite see a full CeeDee Lamb last year with a full Dak Prescott. So that could be in play. I honestly think when you're looking at some of the lines that are going to come out here with Monkey Knife Fight, I think your best bet is probably going to be to dissect the situation, especially look at wide receiver cornerbacks, see who has the best matchup. And honestly, you could even look and see if you believe in the Dallas passing attack, whichever of the three between Gallup, Lamb, and Cooper has the lowest line. Maybe you just take that one and take the more, and then you're just basically, you're not even rooting for a necessarily a huge game. You just need to, surpass 48 yards or whatever it is. The 58 for Lamb seems low. His line, I think early in the year is going to be a little bit all over the place because not a lot of people are going to know, like, he was really good last year, but he didn't have Dak Prescott. But with Dak, everybody was good, but without Dak, everybody was bad. So, like, it'll be very interesting to see kind of where his line ends up settling in. But I mean, between those two, if that's what it ends up being on Monkey Knife Fight, I want the more on CeeDee Lamb, and I will take any of those games with him compared to Cooper.
Yeah, so here's an interesting scenario. So the lines for, like I said, Cooper's 62.5. Remember these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go, we said CeeDee Lamb was 58. So now we're at what, 120. And then we have Michael Gallup at 48. So let's just say 50. So we're at 170. The Dak Prescott over under for passing yards is 286.5. So I guess between Zeke and Blake Jarwin, we're going to get another 100+ yards. Seems a little much, but let's take a look at the Bucs here. I feel like, again, we've got Brady. So Brady's over under, or more or less, for passing yards, 303.5. Ooh. So I think they're looking at this to be a slingshot, slinging around kind of game. Your thoughts on Brady? Basically over under 300 yards passing. Does he do it against the Cowboys? I mean, I would say yes, would go more.
Yeah, I think when I first heard that, to me, I'm almost thinking a trap. It's the first game of the year, and there's, some not necessarily jitters. Brady's had like 48 first games of the year at this point. So what does it really matter for him?
Exactly.
For me, I do think that Rojo and Leonard Fournette are going to have enough room on the ground running against the Dallas defense. I have to look into it a little bit more. But if you're asking me right now, I would honestly say I think Brady will have 4 touchdown passes, but not 300 yards. Like, I think the touchdowns are going to be there for him. I don't necessarily think the yards are going to have to be. I expect them to run the ball a good bit. Now, with that being said, if I know for baseball, Monkey Knife Fight does like the home run blast, I think is what they call it. If they do a touchdown one for football, especially for this Thursday night game, Chris Godwin, he's scoring a touchdown, and Mike Evans is probably going to score a touchdown as well. So I would put those two in like a touchdown thing and move yourself from there. And a lot of these lines, we're kind of speculating a little bit just because they're not quite out yet for week 1. So we're just kind of using what we see along the webs here. But I would be more inclined to take the less on Brady at 303.5. And if it comes out with a touchdown line, that's where I would take the more.
Now, a lot of times Monkey Knife Fight does kind of a this guy versus that guy. The battles, I guess they call them here. Let's talk about Chris Godwin yards versus CeeDee Lamb yards. Who are you going with? Because right now they're very close in the prop bet world out on the internet.
Yeah, so with Monkey Knife Fight having that contest where you get to pick essentially it's like a this or that, but I believe that's for their rapid fire, I think is what it ends up being with them. I would say I'll go Lamb only because I'm kind of more in on the touchdowns for the Tampa Bay offense compared to like the overall yards. Like, I'm looking at it here in 2020, Dallas let up 33 passing touchdowns, which was the 4th most. But when you look at yards against them, they were closer to middle of the pack. So give me CeeDee Lamb on that one. As you can tell, I don't feel great about it, and I'm a little kind of up in the air because Godwin's probably my favorite receiver from Tampa Bay for this week 1 matchup. But for yards, I want Lamb. Fantasy points, I want Godwin.
I got you. All right, so let's do one more. Let's talk running backs now. Again, we've got the Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones thing, so we won't even go there. But I think here's the tough one: Ezekiel Elliott rushing yards, 54 and a half, more or less?
It's going to have to be more. He's going to get such sheer volume. Like even how good Tampa Bay's run defense is, if he averages 4 yards a carry, well, 12 times 4 is 48, 13 is 52. So 14 carries gets him there. 14 4 is 56. So yeah, I would say he's going to get that.
His more or less for rushing attempts at 13 and a half.
Okay, so he's going to need about 4 yards per carry. I think at least he can do that, especially with a lot of the big boys up front are back and healthy and ready to attempt to move some of the front line there of Tampa Bay. So I'll be curious to see what Monkey Knife Fight's line is. But I think if it's anywhere in the 50s, I'm taking the more.
So lots of good stuff out there. Like I said, from what I can see out there right now, you can almost say that their game script is that there's going to be a lot of passing, and I can't argue too much with that. They actually do not have any numbers out there for Fournette. Antonio Brown at 47 and a half passing or receiving yards, and 3.5 catches. Those
way more.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Is like, that's
at least receptions. At least that 3.5 is so low. And especially when you think about you don't want to take too much of the thoughts and seasonal into like the daily game, but everyone's pushing up Antonio Brown from like where his current ADP is, and I understand he doesn't have to. Well, if he's going to catch 80 balls, that doesn't mean he's going to catch exactly 5 each week. It doesn't always end up that way, but that seems low. Man, the more I'm getting so excited for whatever this even Thursday night. I'm getting way too hyped up for hypotheticals right now.
Right, but yeah, like you said, it could be. Sometimes these first games are a little bit kind of. Last year I think it was definitely a slow one. I remember the week 1 game was pretty slow and boring. But you also got to remember they didn't have any preseason last year.
Right.
This year they've at least played a few games. Cowboys been banged up a little bit, obviously with Dak and those folks. But they're all healthy. All of Tampa seems to be pretty healthy. I got to feel like this one could be. I think it's going to be a big shootout. I can't wait to watch it. So, all right. So let's move on to some ideas, your thoughts. As you kind of approach Monkey Knife Fight this year, what is your strategy going in? Where are you going to be putting your money? Which games, which contests, I guess we call them, are you going to be looking at? Are you only going to do maybe 1 or 2 games? Are you going to focus on games and their game scripts? Or are you going to focus on more the players and then within those contests?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a blend of both. So looking at baseball, you have the option, like if you just want to do Mets and Nationals, you can stick with that game. If you want to move to one of the other games, you can do that. If you just want an assortment of the whole collective evening, or for football in case of the week, you can do that as well. So I think what I'm probably going to do is, don't get me wrong, I'm going to take my shot with some of those. If I get all 5 right, I win. If I get all 8 right, I win. If I get all 10 right, I win. But I'm going to hammer a lot of the get 2 right, get some of the lower numbers just to kind of boost it up. And I'll take that, get 2 correct and triple your buy-in. So put in 5, get back 15. I'm completely fine with that. I'm cool with playing the slow game and earning my way up. And I think for me, what I'm going to start with is I'm first going to look at the collective weeks props and just see what lines do I like. All right, that's a more. This is a less. This is a more. Oh, Brady's definitely out throwing Tyrod Taylor. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And right. And then kind of work and see if there's individual games that I like. So for week 1, a popular shootout game, maybe not Browns Chiefs, that has the potential for, but maybe like a Falcons Eagles, going to be a lot, what we suspect to be a lot of fantasy production. Let me see there, and let me see, okay, so this is going to be a high scoring game, but Kyle Pitts at 3.5 catches for the guy in the Hall of Fame, he's got to have at least 4. So let me get the more. So I really think it's going to start with looking at the week as a whole and then dive into individual games. And then really, even if it's a game I don't necessarily like, Monkey Knife Fight's giving me some lines of guys that I just think that they're going to blow us out of the water, or no shot they get anywhere near that. Then I'll even go there. I don't even have to like the game. I'm more focused on the player because I don't care what happens in the game. Like there's shootouts. Sure, Houston can beat Kansas City 70-65, but if Brandon Cooks has 2 catches for 12 yards, that doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant.
No, it's killing me because
I'm going to really focus on players and find the lines that I like. And if I can get them all in the same contest, whether it's only in that game or for the whole week, then that's where I'm going to go. So it's going to be a blend of both. I would suspect the majority of my money, kind of like how it is on other sites, I'm going to put a lot of it into doubling and tripling. And then, of course, because FOMO is a real thing, I'm not going to miss out on potentially, 10xing my investment.
Yeah, right. Cool. No, I totally agree. And I am kind of there with you. We've done some of these in the past with other sites, and we certainly kind of did the same approach. You pick a few, like, okay, let me at least double, triple my money, and then take a couple swings at the home run fence, basically. All right, so let's take a look at the games that we probably will be focusing on. What's 1 or 2 games that you think that you probably feel like there will be a lot of mores happening for some of the players in this game just because of the game script, the lack of defense, the impressiveness of the offenses, or vice versa? Which 1 or 2 that you like?
Yeah, I kind of tip my hat with the 1, but Eagles-Falcons is going to be 1. 2 bad defense, and 2 outside of Philly, and it's more so, you can even argue Philly, bad defenses and condensed target trees. I know where Atlanta's most likely going to go with the football. Probably 33% of the time it's going to go to Calvin Ridley. Kyle Pitts is probably going to push a 20-ish% target share, and Mike Davis is going to be involved. I know where it's going. I know Atlanta's going to throw the ball. Same with Philly. A lot of it's going to go to the tight ends, Miles Sanders and Devonta Smith. So that's kind of one that I'm like. And the other one, and I mentioned it earlier, it's not going to be a popular one. I'm not being a homer, and let me explain. I am very interested to see where the Texans-Jaguars lines comes out to be. And here's why. Bad Houston defense. Jacksonville's defense isn't great, and I know what Houston's going to do. They're going to run the football. It's run, hopeful first down. Run, hopeful first down. Run, hopeful first down. That's what they're going to do. And when you look at Houston, in their secondary, no Bradley Roby for week 1 because he's still serving the suspension. So you have some bad corners out there, not necessarily Desmond King, notably Vernon Hargreaves. So once I know what Jacksonville receiver is going up against Vernon Hargreaves, I don't care who it is or what the line is at. It is a more. Don't even think about it. And James Robinson now has a very defined role. And now we're not playing that guessing game in the Jacksonville backfield. So if you're going to give me something where you give me and I'm on my way. And then outside of that, when you look on the Houston side of the ball, it's going to be a lot of Brandon Cooks. So I don't think I'll take his yards. I don't think I'll take his yards. But I think I'm going to take his receptions. I'll take them more there.
Yeah, no question. So the ones I'm looking at this week, I'm a big fan, and I think this is going to be quite the shootout. The Jets at Carolina. Talk about a great revenge game. So you've got Sam Darnold and Robbie Anderson on the Carolina side against a very bad New York Jets defense. And then you've got the Jets, you got Zach Wilson. He's going to come out slinging. They're going to have to try to keep up with this game. I feel like that one's going to be, there's going to be a lot of moving of the ball. Points wise, there might be a lot of mistakes too. A lot of turnovers as well. Wouldn't surprise me. Again, Zach Wilson's first game on the road. Carolina's defense, like you said, is not terrible, but it's not great either. So I feel like that's going to be quite a shootout. There'll definitely be ones in there that I'll be focusing on. See where McCaffrey's numbers are out there at. May even take a swing with some of his. And then my other favorite, but I'm going to go with the left side. Washington and the Chargers. So first off, the Chargers, who have had 0 preseason experience, none of their starters has played a single down in preseason. None of them. Now they're flying across the country to play against a very good Washington Redskins defense, who has a very bad offense, at least most of the time. We do have Fitzpatrick, and I guess that could boost it a little bit. But it's going to be, again, a lot of probably Antonio Gibson. So I kind of feel like this could be a kind of a slugfest, kind of getting their feet wet. They haven't really had a chance. Again, the Chargers have had 0 chance of working together. This could be a slow game on all sides of the ball. Eckler, Keenan Allen, Herbert. You might want to take the lessons on these this week. Again, depending on where they set them at, they could set them super low too and might make it a little bit more intriguing. But I'm kind of going to be looking at that game for maybe going with some of the less side than the more side. Any thoughts on that game? Or games out there you think might be a little slow, either due to the defenses being good or the offenses being bad?
No, I think you hit that one. You hit that nail on the head, and for multiple reasons. That Washington, they're not just good; they're scary good, and they're fast. That that easily could be the best defense this year. And Chargers have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball as well. And Brandon Staley is the new head coach, who basically, I don't want to say revolutionized, but he kind of was the mastermind behind the Rams defense, because obviously they have a lot of talent as well, but he kind of brought it all together and did that. So, I mean, think about the parallels. Like the Rams had Ramsey and Aaron Donald, and then now here Brandon Staley goes from the Rams to the Chargers. He gets one of the Bosa boys. He's got Derwin James in the back end, and there's some young talent there. So I believe they have Kenneth Murray as well. I believe they drafted him last year. So there's a lot of talent on that side of the ball, and seeing what Staley can do with them is going to be exciting. So yeah, that game could be. It's almost weird to say a game with the what's the word, like the electricity of Justin Herbert and Ryan Fitzpatrick being like a lesser game, but those defenses can be darn right scary good.
Right. And again, especially with very little time that the offense has spent together actually playing in a game, you got to feel like timing could be off a little bit. Right now, I think the weather's supposed to be okay this weekend in this area. I mean, I'm out of the East Coast, so are you. The hurricanes are long gone, so that should all be good. I think it's supposed to be a decent weekend. Well, not this week. Next week, we'd hope, but the weather gets ugly. That can make it even difficult too if there's rain and that kind of stuff too. So. All right, well, there's our Monkey Knife Fight podcast for the week. We're really excited to be back here next week as we will be heading towards week 1. The numbers will be out. We'll be able to be officially talking about where we're going to go more or less. Definitely watch for the article on Thursday into Friday, and, of course, our podcast on Friday. So for Colby Conway, I'm Bob Lung. Don't forget to follow us at Colby R. Conway on Twitter and at Bob_Lung. So we are out of here. Everybody have a great Labor Day weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well